All right, starting off with Raiders Chiefs last week, real good game. Came down to the final possession. I thought Raiders would bounce back. I thought Raiders would have a better game this week. They kind of dug themselves into a big hole that they needed to get out of. I felt like the Chiefs kind of overachieved to start the year. A loss for them wouldn't be as big. Refs definitely were helping out the Raiders throughout the game. The first touchdown by Amari Cooper looked definitely like some pass interference. At the end of the game, where it was like, oh shit, we shouldn't have called that penalty on the Chiefs, and now we got the Raiders back 10 yards, and then you give the Raiders, two penalties. But overall, it was a good game. One thing I will say, Chiefs, Hunt has been less of a factor. Not, I should say fantasy-wise, he hasn't been scoring as many points. He hasn't scored a touchdown, I think, in 2 weeks. Hot start for Kareem Hunt. We'll see how he does going forward. Bills Bucks. This was one of the better games of the week. Bucks started slow, but they came back in the second half. Bills defense was playing really good. They created turnovers like they usually do. And then Bills played. They managed the game well. Towards the end, LaShawn McCoy had a fumble, which really hurt. Gave the Bucks the lead 27-20, but they were able to go back down the field, tie it up 27-27, and then Bills were able to get a field goal to win the game. Hauschka had a good game. Tyrod Taylor had a good game. Deontay Thompson, a guy that they just got from the Bears, he had a real good game. He had over 100 yards receiving. Same guys for the Bucks. Cameron Bray. He didn't catch a TD, but he had a good game. Mike Evans had a real good game. O.J. Howard was the guy that had a real good game too. He had two touchdowns. One thing I will say about the Bills match up for the Chiefs. If the Chiefs and the Bills were to match up, maybe in the playoffs or later in the year, I think the Bills would have a very good chance to beat the Chiefs. This is kind of a rabbit trail, but just because the Bills, they sit on the ball a lot, they run the ball, they make it that the other team doesn't really have an opportunity. So I think Bills would be a good team to match up against the Chiefs, with the good defense that the Bills have. All right, so Bears, Panthers, Panthers definitely played better at the first of the game. Like, the Panthers looked like they were going to jump on the Bears early. They were just, every time there was a long third and down, Panthers were moving the ball. Panthers were really getting the ball ahead, and then they would just get hit with a big turnover. And we're not talking about a turnover that ends their possession and gives the other team the ball. We're talking about a turnover where the Bears returned it all the way back. So they get 7 points in a point where the Bears offense wasn't doing good all day. They couldn't really run the ball. They ran it for 65 yards with Howard. They had a couple of big plays, one big play with Cohen, but they got a field goal only out of that. Their 2 touchdowns were off of defensive touchdowns, off of Cam Newton errors. Panthers, offense is really hard to stop. They use McCaffrey very well. He's used as a decoy. I try to watch how the linebackers, if they try to watch him, if they try to watch Newton, it's just like if they watch him, then Newton runs. If they spy Newton, then he dumps it off to McCaffrey. And if they cover both those things, then that usually leaves something open down the field. Surprised that the Panthers lost as bad as they did. They just really couldn't get anything going in the game, though. Bears jumped on them. Titans-Browns, this was a real boring game. Titans, obviously didn't come to play against the Browns, and Browns, gave them hell, but Titans were able to win 12-9. Saints-Packers, I was kind of surprised that the Packers didn't play better throughout the game. Now, yeah, I know the game was pretty close throughout, and the Saints got a TD at the end to kind of go up by 9, but the Packers scored on their very first possession, ran the ball very well, had a real good game plan, I'd say, for Brett Hundley. And, then I feel like they kind of got away from that. They scored another touchdown after the Saints score there at 14-7. And after that, they were throwing the ball a lot. There was a 3rd and 1 where I felt like they should have been running with Aaron Jones, and they threw a slant that didn't work. I feel like McCarthy's still kind of in that Rodgers mindset of his play calling, and I think he really needs to change that. I think they need to go back to being run heavy. Aaron Jones had a really good game, but he really did a lot of his work at the first of the game. That first possession, he had 60 yards and a TD, so that's 13 points right there. And he ended up with like 19, I think, on the day, so only 6 more for the rest of the day. So a lot of it was off that big play. Saints played good, very balanced running, very good passing. I think Saints would have won by a lot more if Breeze would have thrown those 2 turnovers early in the game. Jags just slaughtered the Colts. I actually picked the Colts to win this game, thinking they were going to be at home. Thought this would be a close game, and they just didn't show up. And Jags, ran all over them, and they didn't even have Fournette. It was Chris Ivory. It was T.J. Yeldon, who had really good games for the Jags. And then Bortles managed pretty well. Rams, Cardinals, this was a London game, and always in those London games, one team doesn't show up. It's kind of how I feel, and Rams were the team to show up. Cardinals weren't. Adrian Peterson lost the matchup against the Rams defensive line. Carson Palmer left in the second quarter. He's pretty much done for the year with a broken left arm or something like that. It really hurts. I don't know if it hurts Adrian Peterson as much. It hurts Larry Fitzgerald a lot. It really devalues him. Who's going to be the quarterback? I really look at Bruce Arians as the type to just start Drew Stanton, not try to bring somebody else in. So, I think that's going to be pretty stagnant. But good game from the Rams. Defensively, they're really strong. If their defense plays good, their offense usually can turn that into points. Dolphins, Jets. It's crazy to think that the Dolphins are 4-2 right now. A big win here. Matt Moore came in. They were down 28-14. They were down 21-14 when he came in. He threw a pick. They went up 28-14. Talking about the Jets. Jay Cutler got hurt for the Dolphins. Matt Moore came in. Matt Moore did better than Jay Cutler's been this year, as far as I'm concerned. Threw a touchdown to for sure. I know he threw one to Steele. And I think he threw one to Landry. I'm not for sure. But he threw 2 touchdowns at the end of the game. And then, Jets just were being the Jets. They threw a fucking stupid pick with like 30 seconds to go. Like they weren't going to score anyways. And they were trying to force it down the field. And they threw a pick. And then Dolphins just got the ball set where the kicker wanted it and kicked the game winner. So Dolphins won that. Jets really threw that game away. And it didn't really surprise me, the fact that the Jets have won a couple of games in the last couple of weeks that they shouldn't have won. Here's one that they probably should have won that they lost. But yeah, it's crazy to think that the Dolphins are 4-2. That's a pretty good record for as bad as they started. Vikings, Ravens. Vikings were just all over the Ravens. Ravens' offense is absolutely dog shit. They don't really have – you try to think about the Ravens and you're like, what big-name player do they have? Like, what big-name signee have they brought in? Or maybe it's just like the fact that every big-name signing that they bring in just becomes like another one of the players in the league. We're talking about Jeremy Maclin. He had first 2 weeks of the season were pretty good, a little bit of production. Ravens started 2-0, so you're like, okay, cool. Mike Wallace, they have him. He's somewhat a big name, but he's not what he was when he was a Steeler or when he went over to the Dolphins. He wasn't even that good when he went to the Dolphins. But in bigger news, like you talk about Flacco's their main guy. They had Danny Woodhead who's out, and I think that hurts their offense a good amount not having Woodhead, and kind of not knowing that they weren't going to have Woodhead. But he should be coming back soon. And they have Alex Collins, they have Javaris Allen, they have a bunch of different backs, but they don't have like the guy. And they never have really tried to go out there and get that guy. They're like, okay, we'll have Justin Forsett as our back. And then how'd that go? Ever since Ray Rice left, or they got rid of Ray Rice, they really had a cursed backfield of just a lot of different names and not really that guy. They used to be a team that, they could have the shit quarterback, but they would have at least like Jamal Lewis as their back or Ray Rice as their back. They used to always be able to fall back on a big backfield, and they don't really have that right now. And, for the entirety of the Ravens, since they've been a team, I feel like they've never really had a good quarterback. Like I feel like that's kind of their mold: good running game, good defense. They've always have a stout defense, but their quarterback has always been a game manager. So I'm not surprised that they have Flacco as their quarterback. I'm not surprised that Flacco is kind of a dog shit quarterback. But at the same time, like I feel like you got to get to a point where who are we going to bring in here? Are we going to bring in a back? Or are we going to bring in a quarterback? I know they draft defensively, so that's something that is maybe they need to like you look at their draft a little bit differently and start going offensively because their offense is just terrible. They got slaughtered this game. It was going to be a defensive game because Ravens have a good defense, Vikings have a good defense. Vikings were able to come out on top. Real boring. Cowboys, 49ers. Cowboys just jumped on the 49ers. It was a blowout before we knew it. Steelers, Bengals. Steelers and Bengals, it was close in the first half, but then Steelers just jumped on them in the second, kicked a bunch of field goals. Chris Boswell had a good game. Le'Veon Bell looked really good this game. He's definitely back to his form, you know. And when we talk about the Bengals are somewhat the same to me as the Ravens. Now they never really had a back, and they've got like a little three-man tandem back there. And I think the bigger problem has been more about their offensive passing game. You know, now they've kind of geared it to be more about A.J. Green, and I think teams are going to just start covering A.J. Green a lot more heavier than they were. And, you know, Andy Dalton to me, he the thing about Flacco and Dalton, it was like they were on teams that had really good running games and really good defenses, a good offensive lines. And now, you know, they're kind of getting exposed because, you know, the time has happened where, you know, these teams aren't as good on the defensive end. They're not as good on the offensive end. And, you know, at that point in these teams' careers, they start to fall back on the quarterback. And this is what makes a great quarterback, is in that time period where you have nothing, where you're kind of rebuilding, that quarterback can keep your team's head above water. And it really makes him a better player. It makes some of the players around him better. And Flacco and Dalton just don't have that ability, and it's shown in the last couple of seasons. Chargers, Broncos. I picked Chargers to win this game. I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that the Broncos played as bad. One thing I will say, talked to someone that is from Denver a few weeks ago, and they did let me know that it's when the Broncos don't play at home. They suck when they don't play at home, and that's just fucking sad. You know, to think that the Broncos are only good because they play at home. And last week before this, they lost at home. So I mean, part of it, I think, is they didn't come to play. You know, I've talked about how the Broncos, you know, we'll see them. They'll be here one week and we won't see them the next. I'm surprised that has to do all with the altitude, but yeah, it definitely does affect them a little bit, not getting to play in all that altitude up there, making it. It's like yeah, we're the Broncos. We can win if we are able to breathe, but y'all aren't. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're good if we're able to run and shit, but y'all are all fucking tired. Like, yeah, we win games that way. I mean, it seemed like I remember when I was younger and I thought Mason Crosby had a fucking leg. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a fucking good ass kicker for a long time. And then like he gets to the NFL and like he was all right. He had a couple good seasons where he got hot. But the main reason I thought he was going to be a really good kicker is because he kicked like a 70-yarder. Little do I know, you know, I wasn't thinking that, in Colorado, the fucking ball flies like a motherfucker. So that's the only reason he's got a 70-yard field goal. Seahawks, Giants. Seahawks jumped on the Giants. Russell Wilson played real good. I think he threw 2 or 3 touchdowns. You know, Seahawks had their typical formula. No first half, really shitty first half, and then just jump on them in the second half. That defense is deadly. It's nasty. Patriots, Falcons. I picked Falcons to win. You know, this was a game where if the Falcons could have, you know, maybe made a couple of those field goals, they might have been there at the end of the game. You know, the touchdown they got late in the third or early in the fourth, I can't really remember. But they had 2 field goals that they missed earlier in the game. You know, that would have at least kept them in the game, you know, and because the Patriots didn't just blow them out of the water or nothing. You know, Patriots scored, you know, those 10 points or so, and then they went up 17-0. But after that, they didn't really do anything in the second half. This could be definitely a Super Bowl reverse where the Falcons could have came back, but that just didn't happen. Good game from Brady, good game from the Patriots, you know, but let's not get too excited about the defense yet. Yeah, they did beat the Falcons, and yeah, they didn't give up that many points, but Falcons are definitely not the team that they were last year in that division. Redskins, Eagles, this one was just kind of sad because the Redskins were playing damn good to start this game. Like, their defense was just shutting down Wentz. Like, every time Wentz went back to do his little bullshit-ass run around and shit, there'd be, like, Ryan Kerrigan and a couple other of them, like, right there on him. That pocket just would collapse fucking fast. And, you know, they went up 10-3, and it was looking good. You know, you're like, okay, like Kirk Cousins is going to keep moving the ball for the Redskins. Like, this is going to keep going. And, you know, Wentz can't do shit. And then Wentz gets sacked. Wentz makes a bad read, and you're like, damn, like, he's just not having a good game. Like, this is about to be the game where he loses. And then boom, chunks one deep to Mac Hollins, 64 yards. It's 10-10. Like, we're back to a tie. And then fucking Redskins come out, don't do shit. Ertz TD, long plays to Ertz, two good plays to Ertz, touchdown. It's 17-10 at half. And then they're getting the ball to come out to start second half. Fucking, I don't know if to say this is a good ass throw or to say that this was a lucky ass throw. I mean, the one thing that you got to know is the play that they ran to score this play in the third. It was one of those. Oh, this was one of those plays that he ran at North Dakota State that he wanted to throw into the offense. I remember John Gruden saying that shit last night. And it definitely looked like it was a play he ran before because he basically just chunked the shit up to the running back and hoped for the best. Like, it looked like he ran the play 10,000 times the way he was just like, oh, fuck it, I'll just throw it up over there. Hopefully something will happen over there. And it worked, and then, fucking Jordan Reed, scored 2 TDs in the second half and really fucked me fantasy-wise. But, because I was playing them, and that gave me an L. But other than that, they didn't do really shit. They couldn't stop the Eagles. The Eagles were just booming down the field. It was just like every time that the Redskins cut to 7, it was like, no, fuck y'all, we're making it back to 14. And then fucking Cousins starts to get fucking pressured, and he's starting to be like, oh shit, we're running out of time. He throws a fucking stupid pick right at a fucking defender, and they kick a field goal off that, and then they get a touchdown at the end, make it a little bit closer. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those that just got the Redskins out of their game. The Redskins went from being up 10-3 to fucking 24-10, like in literally a span of like probably a quarter. It went from they were up 10-3 to down 24-10, and they just freaked out. They're like, "Fuck, I don't know what to fucking do." You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, we're losing. Let's talk about next week. Thursday night, we got Dolphins, Ravens. Hopefully Matt Moore is playing. I really like Matt Moore a lot more than I like Jay Cutler. Fuck Jay Cutler. And then, fucking Flacco. I've been seeing them showing like Ryan Mallett, like they're about to throw Ryan Mallett into the fucking equation. But my thing is like, you look at these teams' backups. Well, like the Ravens, I don't really know who they've been drafting quarterback-wise, if they've been drafting any quarterbacks. I don't think they have. And then you think about, they got fucking Ryan Mallett. It's like, is Ryan Mallett really is he a reputable replace? You know what I mean? Like, are you really going to replace Flacco with Ryan Mallett? Like, is that really how we're doing shit here? But anyways, Dolphins, Ravens, it should be a good game. I'm excited about the game just because it's kind of a primetime game. I'm going to be able to watch it, not have to deal with all these other bullshit-ass games. And, I'll really get to look at the Dolphins. I'll really get to look at the Ravens. And I'm really thinking that this is a funny thing. In these primetime games, Ravens will probably play a little bit better. Harbaugh will have a pretty good game plan. But Dolphins have a good defense, so I could see that going that bad that way. But, yeah, I'm taking Dolphins in this one on the road. I think Matt Moore has a good game. Vikings, Browns, 8:30 on Sunday. One of them London games. So one team's not going to show up. I'm going to have to go with the Browns as the team to not show up. I'm going with that. I think Vikings have a good game. Hopefully Stephon Diggs plays because he hadn't played in 2 weeks. Raiders, Bills. I'm excited about this one. I think Raiders continue to bounce back. I think they win this week over the Bills. The Bills have a good running game defense. They manage the ball. They manage the game well on offense. But I still think Carr is going to get it done. I think he'll take care of the ball enough. No Marshawn Lynch most likely. They'll do a lot of passing. I'll take Raiders on the road against the Bills. Colts, Bengals. I'll take Bengals for sure. I hadn't been impressed with either of these teams, but the Colts continue to kind of fall down. The team that Andrew Luck has is absolutely terrible. I wouldn't want to bring Andrew Luck back either any sooner than I have to. And, fuck it. We fucking tank this year. We get Andrew Luck healthy. I mean, we've seen what Andrew Luck does. I mean, I remember when he came back 45-44 against the Chiefs in the playoffs. Like, at that point, you're like, man, you got to respect this kid. But, you got to protect him, maybe get him a draft pick, get him some fucking offensive lineman or some shit. I don't really know what we're doing out there. I'll take Bengals. Bengals offense has looked better. They had to play the Steelers last week. They're at home for sure, Bengals. Chargers, Patriots. I'm going Chargers on this one. I like the Chargers. They've won 3 in a row. Got a really stout defense. I think that defensive line is going to be all over Tom Brady all day. That's exactly how you beat Tom Brady. You get pressure on him. You get him on the ground. He doesn't like being on the ground. He doesn't like getting hit. Big problem is going to be Gronk. Gronk's going to probably have a big game. But I think Chargers are going to win this game. The bigger deal is how Phillip Rivers does. The Chargers go by how Phillip Rivers goes. If he's playing good, if he's not turning the ball over, this is a team to be reckoned with. If he's turning the ball over, you're done. You know what I mean? Like they're nothing when he turns the ball over. So I'm taking Chargers on the road. Bears, Saints. tough game here. I think Bears defense is going to really play good, really give them some hell. It's a tough one to pick because I'm not as impressed about the Saints yet because, their defense did play all right last week, but as their defense plays better, their offense plays worse. So, Breeze has not been as good as lately against the good Bears defense. And then, I think Jordan Howard's going to run all over the Saints defense. So I'm taking Bears on the road. I've really liked what I've seen out of them the last couple of weeks. They've won 2 in a row, and they almost beat the Vikings 3 weeks ago. So I'm taking Bears in this one. Falcons, Jets, for sure Falcons. I don't like the Jets. I think the Jets will play them good, with the way the Falcons are playing this year. But I'll take Falcons for sure. 49er, Eagles. This is an easy one. Go Eagles all the way. If Wentz is available in leagues, pick up Wentz for this game. Panthers, Bucks. I like the Panthers in this one. I have not been impressed with the Bucks this year. The defense was supposed to be more of a backbone for them, and it's not. Any team just kind of runs through that defense. And then the Panthers, I think the Panthers are going to bounce back. The Bucks have a really good offense, a lot of weapons, good balance. But I think Panthers win this game. They got a good defense. I think Cam Newton bounces back. I think they have real issues with McCaffrey next week against. I think the Bucks have a lot of issues with McCaffrey next week. Texans Seahawks, I should say. I'll take Seahawks for sure. I'm a big Seahawk guy. I usually always pick the Seahawks. It's harder for me to pick against them just with that defense. I think Russell Wilson will play really good against Texans. I think Texans will come back. I think Texans will start slow off the bye week, but I think Deshaun Watson has an all right game. I think this is his first defense, though. He hadn't had a bad game. I think this could be one of those games where he doesn't play as well with the Seahawks defense in that big loud environment. But I'll take Seahawks for sure. And then Cowboys Redskins. We got the rivalry. Love it. And then I'll take Cowboys. I was not impressed with the Redskins offense last night. Now the Eagles just get teams to be looking like dumbasses. Like every team that's played the Eagles this year, when they go against their defense, they just look dumb as shit. And I think part of the problem with the Redskins last night, they weren't able to run the ball. Or they didn't try to run the ball. They really didn't have an opportunity to run the ball. And I think that was tough. I think they'll be able to run the ball better this next week against the Cowboys. But I think Zeke is just, I think, a little pissed off with the whole the suspension looming. I think he's really trying to show out these last couple of weeks before his suspension starts. And so I'm going to take Cowboys in this one. Cowboys need to win way more than the Redskins right now. Cowboys are not supposed to be 3-3 right now. Redskins at 3-3, that's a little bit more like, that's about where they should be. Maybe they should be 4-2. But yeah, Cowboys are a little bit underachieving at 3-3. I'll take Cowboys to win on the road. Steelers, Lions. I like Steelers a lot. Lions off a bye week. It's good because Stafford looked a little hurt the week before that, but I've jumped off the Lions bandwagon. I like the Lions a lot. The first year, I really like their defense. I'm still high on their defense fantasy wise, and I think their defense will be good. But I'm off their offense. I don't like how they started Abdullah at running back. I think they need a bigger back. They're a more power back. He's good for the little shit out of the backfield and stuff, but it's like, why you got Theo Riddick and why do you have Amir Abdullah? Like, get rid of one of them and bring in a big back. I don't like that about the offense. I don't like about the fact that Jim Caldwell rarely brings new people in. It's like he might get somebody in free agency, but if not, like, we're just keeping the same damn team. That's the way I feel. I'll take Steelers on the road. I think Steelers win. I think Le'Veon has a good game. I think Brown has a good game. And then Broncos-Chiefs on Monday night. It's at the Chiefs. Chiefs have lost 2 in a row. Broncos have lost 2 in a row. I'm taking the Chiefs. I don't like the Broncos right now. I'm ready for Osweiler to be the starter. I don't think Paxton Lynch is ready, per se, to be a starter, but I think Osweiler can be a starter. Trevor Siemian, you had your time in the league, but, like, your shit's done, dude. Like, you're not that great.